Hi, I'm Beth Stapleton, Manager of Family and Community Partnerships for Harford County Public Schools. Thank you for joining us today for the Parent Academy Real Talk on Virtual Day Instruction. With me today is Ms. Heather Kutcher, who's our Executive Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Mary Beth.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me here.
And Dr. Martha Barwick, who is Supervisor of Innovation and Technology. Is that correct?
Innovation and Learning.
Innovation and Learning, sorry.
Including technology.
I love that. You have such a great title. Sorry for messing that up, but it's all good. So thank you so much for joining us and talking with parents about virtual day instruction. We know that instruction is the key when we're talking about our students who are home during virtual instruction days. And so just to back up for a minute, on November 14th, we had a presentation to the Board of Education, and there was information shared about a plan that was submitted to MSDE about snow days or other kinds of inclement weather days. And so to that point, we did propose that we would have 3 days of asynchronous instruction, and that we do have that plan approved. So what that means is we want to get into a little bit of detail for parents about what that will look like for your day. And we know that's really a struggle. All three of us are working moms, so we certainly understand how hard it is to start the day when that is happening. So we want to get into the details a bit. But we do know that most of our parents, when surveyed, had said that they would want to have asynchronous instruction, so we would perhaps have less inclement weather days at the end of this school year, and we'd have an earlier summer. So that was good to hear from our parents. So to get into the meat of what this looks like for our students, we're just going to take it by level. Okay, so we'll start with elementary school and thinking about our elementary school kids. And you know, you wake up and you hear the message from communications and you know what's going to happen. What happens next for an elementary school family? So thinking about pre-K, what are some things that are going to be happening for pre-K students? We'll start there. And I'll start with you, Heather.
Great, thank you. And I appreciate that. And we're excited that it is an opportunity to provide some structured learning experiences for all of our learners, just to keep that instruction rolling so there aren't those time gaps, even if there is inclement weather.
Great.
So thinking about our youngest learners, our pre-kindergarten students, our coordinator of early childhood has ordered a really neat backpack and string bag for each of our earliest learners that has some different manipulatives and learning pieces in it for those young children. So we've got math manipulatives, we have books, we have markers and crayons, a whiteboard, different ways for students, the youngest students, to really practice some literacy and numeracy skills in a structured way that can be led by a caregiver, a family member during that time. So ahead of our inclement weather days, those backpacks will go from our office out to pre-K teachers to be sent home with each of our pre-kindergartners, so they have that ready for that first inclement weather day. And inside that backpack will be some ideas and instructions for families, things that they can do with those materials in the backpack as learning pieces that'll just help kids maintain their learning over that inclement weather time.
Great. And we know that with little ones, it's really difficult to keep them on a screen. We experienced that. Some parents experienced that during the COVID, during pandemic. And so with that, we've learned from that experience. And we know that those manipulatives are just as helpful, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is that one level of learner that will not be engaged through Canvas.
Got it.
So they will just have the hands-on learning for pre-K.
Perfect.
K through 12, we are really grateful because of Dr. Barwick's leadership that we'll be able to house everything else in Canvas.
Nice. And so Dr. Barwick, thinking about our elementary school students, and as a mom of an elementary school student, 2 elementary school students, what does that look like for elementary school?
Well, our students each have Chromebooks, K to 5 in our elementary schools, so they would be engaging in learning using their Chromebook as their tool. And once they log into their Chromebook, they would open their Chrome browser and they'll land on the start.hcps.org page, and right at the top of that page is a button that will take them to Canvas.
Okay.
And Canvas is our learning management system, and this is where teachers will post an announcement giving a overview of what's happening asynchronously for the day, and then we'll also be building modules to support instruction. And we will have K to 12, the same inclement weather button on every homepage of every Canvas course. So that's the piece to look for. And a navy blue button with snow on it, of course, for inclement weather. And so that should help our parents kind of know where to start.
Nice.
And so as they're supporting their students, let's look for that inclement weather button, and that button will take them to what we call modules in Canvas. And the modules is just a series of learning activities for that day.
Great. And so just to remind parents what asynchronous actually means, let's not assume, because sometimes that's a tricky word. So what exactly does asynchronous mean?
So students are working through some learning activities or experiences at their own pace, at their own time.
Okay.
So there's no teacher directing them. There's no call in to a teacher, anything like that, which is what we experienced during the pandemic. There's more of a Teams meeting approach. This is really the student can log into their computer during that day at the time that they choose, and the learning materials will be there waiting for them, and they will, there might be documents there might be a video from the teacher there might be something to submit or a way to interact, but that interaction isn't all happening at the same time.
Well, and that's probably reassuring for parents to hear, because Heather, we know that sometimes there could be work schedules or timing. We've all experienced that as working mothers. And so there might be some stress from the parents' lens of, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this done because I have to figure out my day if it's an inclement weather day. So what is the expectation around, turning in work or doing the work and getting it in on time?
Sure. So parents of elementary age students, those families can expect really a child will have about up to 20 minutes of work in terms of literacy skills, so some reading and writing. Up to 20 minutes of work around mathematics skills, and another 20 minutes around whatever unified art, whether that would be art, music, physical education, whatever they would have missed on an inclement weather day. So no more than an hour's worth of complete work towards that learning. And so because it is asynchronous, they'll have 3 school days actually after the inclement weather day to ask questions of the teacher, get guidance, and turn in anything, complete that up to 1 hour of work time. Actually, they'll have that full 3 days.
Great. So they do have some time to get the work done with their children. If they feel it that day, it just couldn't happen for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
They could definitely have some time to get it in.
And they also have that time, so if questions arise about the work, families can put that aside and take the next 3 school days to have the child or the parent contact the teacher, whether that's by email or phone, get some clarification so that they can then do the work. So it doesn't have to happen in that particular moment.
And then thinking about moving on to the middle school experience, and again, we know that there's many teachers that a child will have to connect to in their content area. So again, just thinking about the middle school experience, what would middle school parents expect to see?
Very similar. There's a homepage on every Canvas course. Looks a little bit different at the secondary level than the elementary. The elementary look is a little bit more friendly to our youngest learners, but that inclement weather will be there, and it will also take them to the section in Canvas of modules where the teachers will have designed the learning experiences.
So
for
their
the day.
schedule would be there as far as what the expectation is for that course and that content for that middle school, and then probably the same for high school. Right. And so thinking of my daughter having several different classes, I guess there'd be some kind of information about A day or B day, and then how does that work throughout the day. So thinking about high school, is there a certain number of minutes per class, or is there an expectation there, or is it just the same for K through 12?
There is a different expectation for the different levels of learners.
Okay.
So our middle school learners can anticipate spending about 20 to 30 minutes engaging in activities per class that they would have missed that day.
Okay.
So they would really go through their typical schedule, all of those courses, and spend 20 to 30 minutes per class. So it's not that they have, as Dr. Barwick mentioned, it's not that they have those scheduled Teams meetings like they would. It's just that if they have 7 classes or 8 classes that day as a middle schooler, they'll have 20 to 30 minutes worth of modules in each of those courses that they'll access. And again, have 3 days after that inclement weather day to ask questions of a teacher or just make sure that they've understood that. And then that teacher, of course, would then have that long 3 days to accept that work and grade that for completion and accuracy as well. Our high school is similar in that whatever 4 classes that high schooler would miss that day, they'll have 30 to 60 minutes of work. And secondary, a little bit different than elementary as well. Teachers will align those learning experiences as closely to what students would have experienced in person as much as possible.
Okay.
So content, the lessons, the units will keep continuing. At elementary, we anticipate a little bit more work on essential skills in reading, writing, and mathematics.
Yeah.
But the middle and the high school, it'll help keep that content flowing and the pace going through for students. So they're ready for advanced placement exams, some of those end of course assessments that occur.
So there wouldn't be really any delay. They could just kind of keep going. Very good. And I love to hear that essential skill piece because we know our babies, we want them reading and we want them doing math. We want them doing them both well. So that's great to hear. And then just to finish us up, thinking about the kind of resources that would be available to parents and caregivers, I'm hearing that there will be some kind of a website or a button that parents can access to get more information. So what are some plans around that?
So we're building just some helpful documents for parents and students with step-by-step directions.
Great.
Many of our students are very familiar with using Canvas and accessing Canvas, but if there are some that are not, this will take the parent or the student step by step into Canvas and into those modules, so they have a guide.
Great. And we had those guides during the COVID pandemic, if I remember as a parent accessing those guides myself. So it's just similar to that. It sounds like that we'll have that same kind of a button and a portal for parents to access to support their students' learning.
And we're also working on almost a practice day, a dry run.
Oh, nice.
So that students can practice taking home that device and working with their families to find the button and just log in and send a quick message. We're working out the details of just how they can communicate with the teacher, like, yep, I found it, I know where to go, or I need a little bit of support.
Right.
So that each family will have that chance to try it and let us know what they need.
Well, thank you both for your leadership on this. I'm sure it's a heavy lift in thinking about all the pieces that have to be in place to make sure this goes smoothly for families. And we really appreciate your time to explain for parents exactly what this looks like and to reassure us that it's going to be okay and we'll all keep learning, and then we'll be back in the classroom after that inclement weather or other episode is over, and we'll just keep going. Very good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you both so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again next time on Parent Academy Real Talk.